What does it really mean to come home to yourself? We hear that phrase a lot, right? Well, today, we're going to dive into a really personal story of transformation that kind of answers that exact question. It's about one woman's journey, sure, but what's so powerful is that it really shows a path that honestly feels universal, a path back to the person you were always supposed to be.
So picture this. It all kicks off with something a friend says. Something so simple. You look different. Not just rested. It's like something inside you is softened. You know, it's not just about looking less tired. It's that feeling when someone sees a change in you that you can feel on the inside. That something deep, something fundamental has shifted. And that one little line, that's what cracks open the door to this whole incredible journey.
But before we get to the after, we have to talk about the before. And the before is a feeling I think a lot of us can relate to. It's this different kind of tired. You know the one? It's not the kind of tired that a good night's sleep can fix. It's this deep, soul-level exhaustion. That feeling of being totally stuck in a loop, where you just know something has to change, but you have absolutely no clue where to even start.
Sound familiar? That feeling of just circling the same old emotional patterns, day in and day out, reacting the same way to the same things, over and over again. Well, that right there, that was the starting line for Maya. She's the woman whose journey we're going to follow.
Okay, so hold that feeling of being stuck in your mind. Now listen to this. This is where she ends up. I feel like I finally came home to myself, not the version I've been trying to fix or improve, the one underneath all of that. Wow. I mean, listen to the words she uses. It's not about fixing herself or becoming some better version. It's about getting back to the person who was underneath all that stuff. And honestly, that little distinction is the absolute key to everything we're about to talk about.
So the big question is, how do you get from point A, feeling stuck, to point B, feeling at home in yourself? What's the bridge? Well, for Maya, the very first step wasn't some huge dramatic action. It was actually something quieter. It was about finding, well, a new language, a totally new way to understand who she even was.
And that new language came from a framework called the Gene Keys Map. Basically, it uses your birth info to generate this personal profile. But it's not just another personality test. It's way deeper. The best way to think about it is like a mirror. A really honest mirror that shows you your unique patterns. You know, the tricky stuff, but also your incredible inherent gifts. And her reaction to seeing it for the first time was, well, listen to this. It was like a mirror showing me my patterns, my gifts, the places I abandoned myself. That last part just hits me every time, the places I abandoned myself. See, the map wasn't just some list of pros and cons. It was literally showing her the exact moments, the exact ways she was turning her back on her own truth. That's powerful stuff.
And this just perfectly captures the magic of finding the right tool, doesn't it? It felt like someone had finally articulated the things I've always sensed but could never name. It's that massive aha moment, that feeling of pure validation when something you felt your entire life but could never put into words is suddenly laid out right in front of you. It makes the intangible tangible. Suddenly, it's not just a vague feeling anymore. It's something real you can actually work with.
Okay, so she has the map. But a map is just a piece of paper, right? It shows you where to go, but you still have to do the walking. So now let's get into the nitty-gritty. How did this new understanding actually turn into real, lasting change? It really boiled down to 3 core steps. Think of them as foundational pillars. You've got self-responsibility, self-reflection, and then these one-on-one sessions. It's a really smart progression, you know? It starts inside you, then you reflect on it yourself, and then you go deeper with some guidance. This is the part where the map stops being a cool idea and starts becoming a real lived experience.
Let's zoom in on that first one, self-responsibility. I know, that phrase can sound kind of heavy, right? Like it's all about taking on more blame. But for Maya, it was the total opposite. It wasn't a burden, it was liberating. It was this amazing way to finally get her power back, just by stopping that endless cycle of blaming life or other people for how she was feeling on the inside.
And those one-on-one sessions, they were different too. Not quite like traditional therapy. Maya put it perfectly. She said, it wasn't therapy. It was more like someone walking beside me while I learned how to walk differently. It wasn't clinical. It was a partnership. Just having someone there walking with you as you figure out how to navigate your own inner world in a whole new way.
So all this work, the map, the self-reflection, the sessions, it was all leading somewhere. It was all building up to this one really pivotal moment. This was the point where all the stuff she understood in her head could finally become something she felt in her body, a real lived truth.
And this was the turning point. The retreat. The whole point of the retreat wasn't to cram in more information. It was all about embodiment. Her words say it all. The retreat was where everything integrated. It finally landed in my body. It's that shift, from an idea in your mind to a feeling in your bones.
So what does that actually mean, embodiment? What happened there? Well, first off, it wasn't about being fixed. Nobody was there to fix her. It was about creating a space where she could finally feel the truth she'd been learning about herself. And in that process of feeling, she started letting go, releasing all this heavy stuff she didn't even consciously realize she was holding on to.
Now, we've all heard stories about those amazing retreat highs that just fizzle out once you get back to real life, right? That's why this part is so crucial. The journey didn't end when she went home. There was a whole post-retreat integration process. This was all about making sure those big shifts stuck around, that they weren't just a temporary feeling, but that they got woven into the fabric of her actual day-to-day life.
Okay, so after the map, the hard inner work, that powerful retreat, and then the integration, what's the end result? Where does all of this lead? It brings us right back to the beginning, to that destination, the real, lasting feeling of finally coming home to yourself. So, months later, when she looks in the mirror, what does she see? She doesn't see a project that needs to be fixed anymore. She sees a woman who gets it, a woman who understands and, more importantly, accepts her own unique design, her own inner blueprint. She sees a woman who trusts her own path. That constant struggle, that feeling of fighting against the current of her life, it's gone. Because now she knows how to listen to that inner voice, that inner guidance, and she actually trusts it.
And maybe most importantly of all, she sees a woman who has finally, fully stepped into her own life. She's not a passenger anymore. She's not a victim of her circumstances. She is the one walking her path on purpose, completely present.
And it all just boils down to this one simple, powerful thought. I'm here. I'm really here. That's it. That's the feeling. That profound sense of just arriving, of being completely, authentically you, right here in your own skin and in your own life.
And that, right there, is the heart of this whole thing. This journey, it's not about escaping yourself or trying to become someone new. It's a return. It's about coming back to the person who was there all along, underneath everything else. So I guess the question it leaves for all of us is, what would it feel like for you to really, truly come home?